everyone, welcome back to another Stitches and Scribbles tutorial. Today we're going to be making another Halloween themed amigurumi with this little tiny candy corn guy. I thought he turned out so cute. I'm really excited to make another one because I'm probably going to turn it into a keychain for my purse or my backpack for spooky season. So let's jump in and get started. For materials, I have yellow, orange, and white yarn. All of these, to the best of my knowledge, are Red Heart Super Saver, but the white came from a Mill Ends package without labels. But it feels exactly the same, so if it's not Red Heart Super Saver, it's probably something very, very similar. I also have a 3.5mm crochet hook. We're working with a pretty small one because we don't want space between our stitches. I also have a really tiny pair of safety eyes that I'm going to be using today, along with normal stuff like scissors, a yarn needle, and stuffing to stuff your candy corn, although you could use yarn scraps because it's so small. We're going to start with our yellow. I'm going to unwind a little bit so that it doesn't get stuck as I'm working. All right, going to start with a slip knot. And do one chain stitch. Then, back in that first chain stitch, I'm going to do 10 single crochets to make my first round of a circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then you just want to do a slip stitch into the first single crochet to make your first row. Then you should be able to pull on the tail of your slip knot to tighten that circle. I usually go back in after I've gotten a couple rows done and do kind of an X-shaped stitch with my extra yarn just to really hold that circle in place. Alright, we're going to start our second row. So do a chain 1. Then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch. 1, 2. And then in the next one only do 1. So we're going to alternate between doing 2 in one stitch and 1 by itself. So that one had 2, this one has 1. 2 and 1. 2 and 1. 2 and 1 in the last one. Then you're going to do a slip stitch into the first single crochet of that row, and we have 2 rows done. For our third row, we're going to start with a slip stitch, do 2 single crochet in the first stitch, then do 2 stitches with just 1 by itself. So we're doing 2 in one stitch, then 1, then 1. This one has 2. 1, 1. 2. 1, 1. 2. 1, 1. 2. 1, 1. And do a slip stitch into your first stitch. And now we have a yellow circle. This is where I'm going to stop for a moment and seal off my hole from the beginning just to make sure it's really nice and tight, because I really don't want any stuffing popping out of the bottom. Like so. Now it's really nice and secure at the bottom. There's no way that that circle is going to open on its own. Alright, now we're going to do something a little bit different because we want a really sharp kind of triangular edge at the bottom. So we're going to do a row of only using one side of the stitch. So this row we're going to do all single crochets but back loops only. I started with a slip stitch. Now I'm doing a single crochet in the back loop only. You're going to do that all the way around your piece. This is going to make that nice sharp edge to the bottom of your candy corn. Alright, and now you can see the little edge. It should look kind of like a really shallow basket. Okay, so for our next row, we're actually going to do another row of just plain single crochet. We're going to alternate between single crochet only rows and decrease rows. So I already did my slip stitch, and I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch normally all the way around. We're not doing back loops only this time. These are normal single crochet stitches. Like so. Now for our next row, we're going to start our decreases. So I did my slip stitch. I'm going to do 4 single crochets normally. And then I'm going to single crochet 2 together. So insert, pull through, insert, pull through, and then pull through all 3. Now I'm going to do it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then single crochet 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet 2 together. And if there's an extra one, just go ahead and do a normal single crochet. So your goal is to have 3 decreases total for every decrease row. So we're going to try to evenly space them as we go. Before I slip stitch to join to my row, I'm actually going to switch colors. You get a cleaner transition between colors if you do it before you do that slip stitch to join rows. Since this is a stuffed animal and you're not going to see the knots, I'm just going to do a normal knot to tie the yarn together because I know it's not going to be visible, so it doesn't have to be pretty. Now I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet of the row I just did with the orange to make a clean transition. So now we're going to do a regular single crochet all the way around a row because we just did a decrease row. And slip stitch to join. I'm going to take a second now to stop and go ahead and put in my safety eyes. I put them in between the last and second to last row of the yellow, and that seems to be a pretty good placement for them. So then I'm going to put the caps on them if I can get it to work. That one has some extra plastic attached to it. Okay. It's really hard on the teeny tiny amigurumis to do the safety eyes. But I really like how the safety eyes look, and I hate embroidering eyes on. So there we go. He has eyes, so we can continue. Alright, I'm going to slip stitch. Now I'm going to do 3 single crochet. And then single crochet 2 together. So last time we did 4 in between, now we're doing 3 in between. So 1, 2, 3. Single crochet 2 together, 1, 2, 3, single crochet 2 together, 1 left over, and 2 left over, and slip stitch. We're going to do 1 more row of orange, just normal single crochet. Alright, and before we do our slip stitch to join, I'm going to change colors. And we're going to finish off this little guy with the white. Again, not really making this a neat knot because I know it's going to be hidden inside of my little candy corn. So I'm just doing a plain old knot, pulling it tight. Sticking those yarn ends inside. And then I'm going to slip stitch with the white to get a clean transition. Alright, we have another decrease row, so slip stitch. Now I'm going to single crochet 2. And then slip stitch or single crochet 2 together. Do 2 normally. And 2 together. 2 normally. Two together. And if there's extra, just do normal single crochets. Then slip stitch your row together. Now we're going to do a normal row, so slip stitch and single crochet in every stitch around. And slip stitch the row together. Okay. Before I do my last row, I'm going to stop to stuff. I'm using yarn scraps for this one. This is left from a different project where some of the yarn got tangled together, so instead of throwing out the tangle, I just put it in my stuffing container to be used for later. I'm going to jam it all in there. Alright, and now we are ready for our final row. Sometimes it takes a little bit of reshaping, especially if you're using yarn as stuffing, to get it to be the right shape. So final row, slip stitch, do 1 single crochet, and then 2 together. One single crochet, and then 2 together. Make sure you're not pulling up your yarn stuffing with your stitch. One single crochet, then 2 together. One, last stitch, and slip stitch into the beginning of the row. Alright, there's a couple stitches left on there, but at this point in the amigurumi it's too small to keep doing, so I'm going to cut my yarn, grab a yarn needle, pull your yarn through that last stitch, thread it, and I just whip stitch through every stitch that's left. Then pull it tight like a drawstring. Do a couple of extra stitches to really hold it closed. Then tie a knot and insert your needle back down through to pull that tail in. It's a little bit harder when it's yarn stuffing. Pull it all the way through, trim it, fix up your shaping a little bit, and there is your finished candy corn. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you in the next one. Bye!